Hey guys, thank you for visiting my channel, Thinking Like a Virtuous Woman, where I inspire women to think like the woman in Proverbs 31, spiritually, financially, and relationally. So today this video is going to be a lot different than what I normally post. I am already a very transparent person. If you know me, you know I've written several books. One of those books was my life story and the things I've gone through and how I ultimately gave my life to Christ. So I'm very transparent. I'm an open book. But one of the things that I've never done was talk about a breakup or a heartbreak while I'm in the midst of it, right? While I'm in the middle of it or still trying to get through it. Now, I have a couple of videos on this channel to help people get through a heartbreak. And again, I've gone through heartbreak, I've had disappointments and things like that, but those videos were from the perspective of not being in it, right? It's easier to talk about something once you've already gone through it. But this video today is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be very transparent. Something I've never done. I've never, I had been single a long time, and I've talked about some of the highs and lows of dating in my single season, but it's always after the fact, after I've gone through something. So this is the first time that I'm talking about something while I am still in the midst of it. And I noticed that one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video talking about, getting through a heartbreak when you're losing a good person is because pretty much everything that talks about getting over a breakup, I noticed like it's all about a toxic person, like getting over a narcissist or getting over a toxic person or, getting over somebody that did you wrong. Even the videos that I've done myself in regards to getting over heartbreak was mostly about people that did you wrong, because in the videos I talked about, realizing you're not losing anything and looking at all the bad that they did to you. And so I'm also guilty of that. I think because in most cases, it probably was a bad relationship, but there are some relationships that end not because nobody cheated, not because it was toxic, not because one person was being, abused physically, mentally, or emotionally, anything like that. But there are some situations in which, two good people don't work out, right? And I think in my experience and currently going through this now, I think it's more difficult. I think this is more difficult. It's been a couple months now. At the time that I'm recording this video, I don't know when I'm actually going to edit and post it, but at the time I'm recording this video, it's been it's been over a month, about 2 months now, that I've gone through a breakup, and it has been. I won't say I'm all the way over it, and I won't say that I'm in the worst of it. I will say, if I had to give it a percentage, let's say I'm maybe at about maybe 70 or 80%, meaning that I'm pretty much okay, but there is still a part of me that is still, and I'm just being, again, transparent, still missing that person, still, have some disappointments about the way things went. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the story and kind of tell you a little bit about him, so that way you can kind of get a feel for me, where I'm at and why this has been so difficult. And let me just say this, I've had disappointments over the years. I've had guys that I've met and I liked, and things didn't work out for one reason or another. And, I can look back and realize, okay, I could see why that didn't work. Or, maybe I was there. There's been guys that I realized I was ignoring certain things. And then I look back and I'm like, why in the world was I wasting my time? I'm sure everybody could relate to that, man and woman. But in this situation, it wasn't like that at all. So I won't go into too much detail, but let me just say this. And he was not perfect, okay? None of us are perfect. He was not perfect by far. This has been the biggest disappointment. I would say that. This has been the not the worst pain that I've gone through, but the biggest disappointment. And it is because he is not a bad person at all. He's actually a really good man. He is actually I always say he's the best, because he has, and this is the thing. I look at character, right? And I want to do a video talking about that, because I feel like character is something that we overlook, because I feel like we often find ourselves in situations and we wonder why somebody did something, we can't believe it. But then when we look back, we look at, oh, that person was that type of person with everybody else. He was always that type of person, but I was looking over it. So I look at character, and I will say this again, he's not perfect, but this guy that I was dating, he was the most he was the sweetest guy that I had ever dated. And He was just very affectionate, very giving, very generous, very kind. And even in the beginning of us dating, it was kind of hard for me to receive him because I wasn't used to it. Now, I'll be honest, the old me back in the day, I definitely wouldn't have been able to receive a man like him. It was only just me being the woman that I am and realizing that I do deserve a man that desires to, you know, care for me. And, you know, I just felt cared for. I felt taken care of with him. And even with my daughter, he was very kind with her. We did last year. We spent all the holidays together, Christmas, you know, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Valentine's Day, and all of that. And we did have one falling out. We had one argument, our first argument back in February, and things like that, which this video is not about. That's a whole nother thing. But for the most part, we were good. And I will say that there were things that I kind of saw in him that kind of made me have a feeling that he probably wasn't ready for a relationship, because there were things that I could tell that he still needed to heal from. Now, that's not to say that we have to be completely healed before we get in a relationship, right? Because I believe that for many of us, there's always going to be something that we're going to need healing from, right? Healing is a process. It's a journey, right? It could be a lifelong journey for some of us with some things. And so, and the biggest thing is having the willingness to heal from the things that you're going through. But he has experienced a lot in his life and in relationships. And that was actually one of the things that bonded us on our very first conversations. He's had quite a lot of deaths in his family. And our very first conversation on the phone, we were actually in tears, just talking about some of the things we had gone through. And he was also actually going through something with his mom. His mom is very, very ill, you know, to the extent that, you know, they don't know what's going to, you know, basically doctors are saying they can't do anything. And so this was something that he's been dealing with. And so with what he's already gone through on top of what he's going through now, he is not in a space where he can be there emotionally. And so me, and so many words paraphrasing that, at one point he did say he has nothing to give, like emotionally. He's just, and I could see that. I saw that over time, as time went on, as things seemed to get worse with his mom. Like, I could see it, and I did try my best to be there for him. And when a person is going through their own process, and you know, especially when we care about them, we love them, we want so badly to be able to take the pain away. I know I did. I wanted to take the pain away. I wanted to be there for him. And most of the time, you know, when we're going through hard stuff, many of us, we want to be around people. We want to, you know, we want to be around people that we love, be around everybody that we love and things like that, to make us laugh or whatever. But then you have some people that go to the other extreme to isolate. I am somewhat like that, so I can get it. And that's how he was. So that is pretty much the gist of why things ended. He is not in a place where he can be there. He's barely there for himself. I'll just say this. And so, again, not perfect, but a very good man. And, you know, some people, they've told me, just be his friend. You can still be his friend, which I tried, you know, but at the same time, I can't force myself on anybody, and I can't make somebody do something that they don't want to do or that they're not ready to do either. So this is what I mean when I say there's not a lot out there to help people with situations like this, where he wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't cheating on me. I wasn't cheating on him. We didn't have a bad relationship, but the reality is that the relationship ended, and it's been difficult because of the fact of, like I said, he was just, you know, a very good man, the best man that I have dated, a great father. He has a son that he raised on his own. You could tell he did a great job with his son. And so there was just so many things about him. And I was very sad for him, because I feel like the very thing that he needed was the very thing that he was, you know, isolating from, which is people that love him, myself included. But again, what can you do? So I wanted to do this video just to kind of be transparent about where I'm at, what I'm dealing with and trying to get through. Like I said, it's been a couple months, but it's been a difficult couple months because, you know, for the most part, I'm okay, but I do have my moments. Even thinking about it now, I am not about to cry on this video, but put it like this, I am making myself not cry right now. It's weird talking about it, it's making me emotional. Now I see how people start crying in interviews and you know, doing videos and stuff like that, because it is real. Like, you could be fine and then you start talking about it and then, you know, you feeling all kinds of things. But anyway, what I want to talk about in this video is just the process that I've been going through with getting over a good person, because it's different. You know, I will say this, that this is the first thing, and I mentioned this in my other videos too, the very first thing, period, across the board, whether they were a good person or a bad person, is allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel. The best way to get through it is to allow yourself to feel. One of the things that we don't want to do whenever we're going through something is we want to run from the feelings. It could be scary, but when I tell you guys, because I have learned the importance of feeling my feelings, I am self-aware and I thrive in being alone and processing my feelings. Some people, and it's no judgment, because I know everybody is different, and I know that it's hard sometimes to be alone and feel those feelings, because it could be scary, it could be overwhelming. Sometimes you may feel like you may not ever stop if you start. But because I know the importance of it, there were times where I was at work. I teach, for those of you that don't know, there were times where I was at work, let my students go, and I live right around the corner from my job. And I could not wait to get in here to feel my feelings. I could not wait to get in the house and just cry, because I was not running from it. Whereas before, maybe in the past, I may have probably went to the mall, or, you know, probably went and did something to try to keep my mind off of it. But now, whatever I'm going through, I allow myself to feel it. So that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give to anybody, because I know that it works. I know that it's scary. I know that it's hard, but the best way to get through something is to just go through it. Allow yourself to feel. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to sit in it and prolong it. We don't want to do that, because when you do spend those moments alone and you're reflecting, you don't want to spend too much time ruminating. There's a difference between ruminating and reflecting. When we're ruminating, we're playing it over and over in our mind what we wish was different. You know, we're playing all the good times, and it's just a never-ending cycle of just, I wish, I want that, I want him back, or I want her back, or whatever. And ruminating, you're just constantly, you know, it's actually making it worse. There's going to be some of that, don't get me wrong, but reflecting is just, you know, which is going to take me to the next thing, is reflecting on the relationship, right? And just looking at things that could have been done differently, things that I could have done differently. Looking back, I do think that when I started realizing that emotionally that he wasn't there, and there were times where I even questioned, I don't think he's ready. Like, I don't think that, I think that there was just there were some moments where I felt that, and I guess looking back, I can say I was in denial about it, because I wanted us to keep going. Because one thing I didn't mention is that he did, you know, a lot of things about him is what I pray for, you know what I mean? And things about him that I didn't even know that I needed, he possessed, you know what I mean? And so, I was just kind of trying to, you know, well, it'll be okay, I'll be there for him. But I just reflected on the relationship, and I still do, and just things that I would have done differently. You know, there's no sense of dwelling on it, because, you know, the past is the past, you can't change it. But there are definitely some things that I know I would have done differently, and reflecting on what I will do differently in the future. There's just a lot of things that I know that I will do differently, things that I learned about myself. Even like I said, we had the one argument, and we had a falling out with that argument, and even ways that I reacted, I realized that triggered some things in me to make me realize that I wasn't fully healed from some things, and, you know, and things like that. And even reflecting on the fact that I did kind of make my life all about him. Like, I was so focused on him and what he was going through. I was very supportive. I am a supportive person. And so a lot of his issues became mine, to the point where I was kind of forgetting about some of my own stuff and focusing on him. And I even, I was taking on so much things that I should not have been taking on, because at the end of the day, even though we were dating, I'm not his wife. And I was emotionally taking on things and trying to take on things that was not mine to take on. And ultimately, not that I was purposely trying to be God in his life, but looking back now, and I realized that, okay, only God can heal him. Only the things that he's going through, only God can heal him from. The issues that he has, only God can fix. And so I realized that about myself, and I realized that about the relationship. And so that's one of the things, again, I'll just go back, allowing yourself to feel those feelings, and also reflecting on the relationship, looking at what you could have done different. What did you learn about yourself, right? And then one of the things that I shared in those breakup videos is making a list of all the bad things that person did to you, all the times that they treated you badly and things like that, right? To help you look back and realize that you are better off without that person, right? Again, this is about a good person. So it's harder to do that when you're talking about a good person, right? But even as good as that person was, as great of a person that they weren't perfect. So there's still some things about them that I'm sure that, and I say this because a lot of times this helps you, right? It's not that you want to make this person look bad, or you want to vilify them or anything like that, because if they weren't bad, you don't want to try to make them bad just to get over it. But there probably were some things about them that you were looking over, right? There's probably some things about them that weren't so good, that you were maybe looking over. Something that my pastor says, and I think it's definitely something to think about, is consider what you do not know, right? So as much as we want to make this person to make this person out to be a great person, which they are, they are, we also have to think about the fact that there are still some things that we don't know, right? As great of a man as he is, the guy that I was dating, I still have to consider what I don't know, right? He knows him better than I do. And so if he felt that there were some things about himself that he knew that he couldn't be there for me for whatever reason, I gotta trust that he knows himself better than me, right? And I also have to think about the fact that, I have to still trust God in this, and still trust God that there is a reason why this relationship ended. There's a reason why God allowed this to end. There's a reason for everything. One of the things we want to consider for situations like mine, in which maybe the person just wasn't ready for whatever reason, things going on in their life and things like that, right? Consider this. Will we want somebody that we have to convince to stay, right? Because let's just say that person, we let them know, like, it's okay, I'm here for you and things like that. And then they try, because they care about you so much, they don't want to hurt your feelings. Is that fair to them or you, right? We got to just kind of let them go. If you do stay with them and they have nothing to give, you won't be happy anyway. And they won't be happy, because they'll be building resentment, trying to make you happy, right? And so in situations where it's a great person, but they're not ready, we got to just let them go. And another thing that's very hard to accept, is that just because a person is a good person, a great person, it doesn't always mean that they're the person for us. And that's something that I'm still grappling with myself. As great of a man that he is, as good of a man as he is, and like I said, I felt like he's the best, I also have to trust God and trust the fact that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that I can ask and think. And a lot of times when we have a situation like this where they're the best person we ever met, sometimes you can kind of get caught up in thinking that they're the best person you'll ever meet, right? And so that's part of the fear too, was kind of thinking like, I'll never meet anybody like them. And maybe you won't meet anybody like them. Maybe I won't meet anybody like him again, right? Anybody like him. But that doesn't mean that God can't do even better, right? If he's not for me, that doesn't mean that God can't do even better. Because even when you look on past relationships, right, every relationship probably got better and better, right? Each time you felt like it can't get no better than this, and then you meet somebody else and it gets even better. So looking back on past relationships also helps, and looking back on past heartbreaks and looking back like, oh, I got through that. I can get through this again. You know what? I got this. So that actually helps as well. It's just looking how God brought you through before, and he's going to bring you through again. Another thing that I mentioned in my videos before, which also applies to this, is trying not to hold on the hope of them coming back. Now, it's okay to want them back, and it's pretty normal. It's okay and it's understandable. But when you hold on to hope in any situation, whether it's with waiting for a good person or a bad person that you had no business with in the first place, it does prolong your healing, because it makes you not let go, right? And letting go is part of the healing process. So try not to hold on to hope and wait around for this person. Maybe they will come back, maybe they won't. But when you hold on to hope, it's prolonging the days. You're counting down to the day you want to hear from them again, that you hope you guys are going to be together again. And it just makes the healing process so much longer. You do have to get to a point where you're just like, look, this person was a good person, but it's over and I can't wait around. And let's just say maybe the person does come around eventually. Can you imagine waiting around? Also, another thing I would say is try not to get caught up in the cycles of running from person to person, trying to get advice and talking to everybody about what you're going through. It's good to talk about it with your trusted friend or family member, right? And your counselor, therapist, if you have one. But what happens is we're often trying to get fulfilled, right? We're looking for some type of validation. And again, we often look for things from people that we should be looking to God for. So just try not to get caught up in it. Be okay with spending that alone time with yourself, your alone time with God, right? And give it to him, because ultimately he's going to be the one that's going to heal you anyway. So just try not to get caught up. And, I've been guilty of that, so I understand and I get it, because it does make you feel better in the moment, but try to fight that urge. Another thing you definitely want to do is fight the urge to seek out a rebound. Do not jump into another relationship. Allow yourself to heal from this situation. They say, the quickest way to get over somebody is to get up under somebody. That is far from the truth, because guess what? When things don't work out with the new person, now you got 2 relationships to get over, and it's not fair to the new person, okay? Because they may really like you and really want something, and you're not even thinking that way. I've been on both sides. I've been the rebound person, dating somebody who was fresh out of something and just using me to get over it. And I've also been that person who's had a rebound and hurt them because I wasn't really thinking about them in the way that they were thinking about me. So avoid a rebound. Let me just say this about character. Character is one of those things that I think that we don't talk enough about. And what made me realize the importance of character is that when you pay attention to a person's character, that will tell you a lot about them, right? Because what I find is that sometimes we can look back on relationships and that didn't work out and the person did us wrong, and realize, wait a minute, this person was not a good person at all. They weren't a good person to anybody. Because sometimes you get caught up in a relationship because they're being good to you, but you're ignoring how they're treating everybody else. But when you pay attention to their character, how they are with everybody, how they are with people that don't matter. I know people, they've been saying for years, pay attention to how a person acts towards the waiter, right? Pay attention to how a person you're on a date with acts for somebody who is like, just doesn't mean anything to them, right? That is so important. And so that's one of the things that, I paid attention to with the guy that I was dating. And so, because somebody may wonder, well, how do you trust what he's saying to you? And the reason why I could trust what he's saying to me is that he's always been an honest person. I've always known him to be an honest person, and I saw his character with everybody. He was consistently the same. Everybody that knows him says the same thing. I could see his character in moments where he could get away with certain things and nobody would ever know. He had integrity, right? And so you just want to definitely pay attention to a person's character. So when I talk about getting over a good person, I'm talking about a person who was treating you right. I'm talking about being really real with yourself and not making excuses for anybody that was treating you bad but had good moments, right? Really be real. So when I say getting over a good person, I mean a truly good person, truly good all the way around, not just good to you, but good to everyone around them. They had integrity and they had good character. When they said that they were going to do something, they did it. When they said they would call you, they called. When they made a promise, they kept it, right? They kept their word. Their yay was yay and their nay was nay. That's what I mean. I could think of many guys over the years that I dated who had no character, who never kept their word. And I stayed around expecting them to be these good men. And I look back and realize, wait a minute, he wasn't ever a good man. He was never a man of his word. That's what I mean. With that guy, I could look back and see his character over time was consistent in every situation that we were in. Now, I hope that these tips was helpful. And I know there's going to be some doubters out there and thinking, well, if a person is good, why would they leave you? Why would they not want to be in a relationship and things like that? The thing is, you know, it happens. I've been in a situation where I had a guy in my life that was nice. I mean, he was attractive, but I just wasn't there. I had recently had surgery and I just had a lot going on. I had several deaths in my family and I just wasn't in a place. And I'm sure people were probably in his ear, maybe telling him, she is not into you, move on and all of that. And it wasn't that I wasn't interested. He was a nice, attractive guy, but my mind just wasn't there. So just being there myself, I understand how you could really actually, you know, be attracted to somebody. You could be feeling somebody, but you're just not there. And, you know, I don't want anybody that's half there anyway. When you really think about it, do you want somebody that's only halfway there with you anyway? Like, I want you to be sure about being with me. I want you to be sure. I want you to be sure that this is what you want. This is what you desire. And I don't want to have to convince anybody to be with me, right? And you shouldn't either. And so if a person is not ready, if it maybe your relationship ended because you guys realize you want two different things, you got to think about what you ultimately want. As good of a person as they are, is going to hurt you in the long run if you try to make something work with somebody that is just not a good fit. So this is where I'm at. And these are the things that have been helping me through my process. If you have ever experienced anything similar, I would definitely want to hear about it. Leave that in the comments as well. So I hope that this video was helpful. Like I said, it's been a couple months and I'm still in my process. Where I'm at now, I'm just, you know, I'm not dating anybody no time soon. You know, I've had a few people ask me, are you going to start dating? I'm not even thinking about it. I am, one of the things that I am blessed, and I thank God that I have the ability to be okay being single, and that's a whole nother video. I thank God that I'm at a place where I don't need to go and run and jump in another relationship. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm actually about to go to the Bahamas for my birthday. I'm taking a solo trip. I've taken several solo trips before. That's just something that I enjoy doing. So I'm going to be doing that for my birthday. And I am just working and, you know, got my stuff going on. I'm a travel agent as well now. I think since the last time I posted, I've become a travel agent since the last time I posted on this channel. But so that's where I'm at. Like I said, I'm okay for the most part. I have my moments. Do I still care about this person? I definitely do. Do I think this person is a good person? Definitely, yes. And like I said, sometimes people are really in a place where they just have nothing to give. I have been there several times over the years. I could look back and see situations where I was maybe talking to somebody that was a good person, but maybe I wasn't over somebody that I had been dating before. Like I mentioned, I had surgery, and then, you know, I had deaths. I had lost my father, my brother, my cousin. It was just so many different, you know, people that I had lost so close together, and I just wasn't in a place. And, you know, so it happened. So anyway, like I said, hope this video was helpful. Thank you again for visiting my channel. Be blessed.